So I found William Whitecloud because I was living in London at the time. So this was like 6 or 7 years ago. I was living in London, and I broke up with my boyfriend. I suddenly had to move out of my house. Just, those moments in life when it feels like the world crumbles and you don't know who you are anymore. And this course somehow came to me. I'm still kind of like, I feel like even that was the miracle. Like, I don't know how I found it, but this course just spoke to me, and off I went to the first session. And my life has completely transformed since then, since that first Create Your Destiny course to, now living in Lisbon. My dance company is really thriving. I work as a coach. Like, it's just, everything is completely different. I live in my most amazing home that is like so aligned with who I am. And I just learned all these skills along the way. So I couldn't possibly not kind of continue and go all the way to the end of the training with William. Yeah. So before the course, basically I was in my stuff. I was a victim. I felt sorry for myself. And I went to this course and suddenly was like, it's not them, it's me, and that I get to do the work on me and I get to decide. And I think the words create your destiny as such, they're so perfect, because essentially you realize that it's about you, it's not about anyone else, and that you have the permission, you have the skills, you have the power. And it's almost like I got out of the way of myself. So I had a dance company, or I was a dancer before, but there was often a lot of pain, when I didn't get an audition, when I didn't get a job. There was like a lot of taking it personally. And through the work, I realized it wasn't personal. It's about me understanding, me doing the work, and then me focusing on what I would love to create, or the end result. I mean, it wasn't just an easy, like, click your fingers and everything falls into place. There was so many layers of me that I needed to unlearn, of like my beliefs about myself, my conditioning, the experiences I'd had with my family and so on, that I had to unlearn so that I could really go, what would I love? And I think often we don't even know what we would love. We're so busy like trying to be good or trying to prove that we're worthy, all these different things going on, that we're not really listening to our own heart's desire. So there was definitely this kind of process, and then there was the getting out of the way of myself in terms of kind of my relationships with other people, and how I was holding myself in this victim mode. So it definitely wasn't easy. That's why 6 or 7 years later, here I am living my dream life. But so worth it, absolutely so worth it. So, I mean, on the course, you kind of learn the tools to work with what we call the pendulum swing. So you kind of, often you're on a real high, and then you kind of swing to the complete opposite, to a real low. And so the course gives you, or the whole of the training going all the way to the end, gives you the tools so that you can work with those things. And for me, it's a lot also about reframing. Like, I would used to think this is good, this is bad, and make up what that meant about me. Whereas now it's like life, I have the tools to work with life and to receive whatever is coming to me with gratitude and with grace. And so, like, I'm not saying that life is just always like, roses, but I really appreciate every single moment, and that actually those difficult moments for me, that's where I use my skills. That's where I'm an alchemist, because I deal with them in such a different way. I deal with them from a powerful place. And I'm coming from a place of receivership, instead of like trying to not be in whatever the thing is that's happening to me.
And what is receivership?
It's just kind of like being in a state of openness to the situation, rather than, because I would used to kind of bad things would happen and I wouldn't want them to happen. So I'd be in the moment, but actually what I was really doing is I was going into stress mode. I was going into fight or flight and kind of trying to run away from that situation. Whereas now it's like, it's not that I face it head on, like ready to fight, but I receive what is coming to me, and then I observe what's obvious. I use the tools that I've learned.
Yeah.
I do the alchemy. I do the work.
Yeah.
when you react, when you react to something, other
Mhm.
people react. So you get this kind of, whereas when you receive, the way you react might not be the way that other people are expecting. And then it actually will alchemize the whole situation. So that's where, like, in a way, yes, my life is amazing because every single moment is just a beautiful learning experience and an opportunity to practice this work. So and then, like, the thing that might have been awful actually is a golden nugget, because that connection might lead to something else, and that person wants to know and they ask you, what I mean, it just, like, your whole life experience transforms into one of joy and bliss. Best tool, I mean, the I'm also talking about like this
Mm.
7
There's
year
more,
journey,
right? Yeah.
but I suppose intuition for me, it was always there. It was always in me. I've always worked very intuitively as a choreographer, which is kind of my main job. But this allowed me to just connect in the most profound and deep way with myself and my intuition. And that when you're listening to intuition, you're listening to your heart. And when
Mm.
you're listening to your heart, that's where the magic is, because I really believe our cup is full up when we're listening to what our heart desires, and then we create the good ripples. That's when we're in service to other people. When we are being who we truly are, we can really truly help others and support others, and lead by example as well. So I did work in dance, which I still do now, but the work that I'm making is like, 100 times better. And I'm, as a choreographer, really able to hold the space because I'm not in my victim. I'm there to support everyone to be the best version of themselves, and the work to be the best it can. I'm also a coach, so I have an 11-month program for creatives called the Goddess Path, and that is just for 11 people, because I really like to work on that deep level and see that transformation over 9 months. I have a business called Business Yoga, which is all about
Whoa.
workplace well-being. Yeah.
So many
I
things.
live in I know I live in Portugal instead of living in London. I've bought my own home here. I do surfing. I enjoy the sun. Like right now, it's a beautiful sunny day where I am. I speak fluent Portuguese. Like, just everything has completely transformed in my life. So that's another thing that the course really helped me to understand, is like how much I love nature, but also how much it helps me to be my best self. So
Yeah.
my home is kind of like, there's Monsanto, which is like the lungs of Lisbon over there. There's Tapada das Necessidades, which is this beautiful park, and then there's the botanical garden. So I'm just like in this triangle of nature, and I can see like the sea, and I've got a big bridge that goes over to the Jesus. So it's just the big statue like the one in Rio. So for me, it just made sense. It's that thing that you go to and you're like, that's what's missing in my life. So I would say, if you in any way feel like you're not whole, which of course you are, but if you feel like there's this kind of, hang on a minute, there's something more, then the principles of alchemy essentially are coming back home to yourself and living a life in line with your heart's desire. And who doesn't want that? I think everyone needs that in their lives, and it really feels like it connects back as well to kind of these rituals that we don't have in many places in the world now, that kind of help you to be an adult and take responsibility for yourself. I feel like I didn't actually grow up until I did this course. Yeah, so what is intuition? So for me, intuition is listening to the whisper. And I went on William's Soul Safari, I think in 2017, I went on that. And there was a picture that a little postcard that I bought that said, open your eyes, life is in the details. And it just felt so relevant to this work. It was actually in Eswatini in Africa. And for me, intuition is about listening. And so often, we're so busy, and we do things, we be on social media, we do all these things to stay busy. But for me, intuition is learning to get out of the way so you can listen to yourself and you can listen to those messages. And like, it's amazing. So I'm going to Mexico next month, and it's all on intuition. And it's because I know it's like my heart has been whispering so strongly that I need to go to Mexico. And the power of this work is you don't necessarily have to know why or how, you just know what you've got to follow. And then it's about like, life becomes this beautiful experience because you're just having your eyes open and you're just listening and following. And, what a much better life to live than one where it's rules and it's to-do lists and it's this constant kind of like listening to other people's voices and pushing down your own needs, even because I think in our society we're often so busy we don't realize, like, even things like, oh, I need a wee. You know what I mean? Like, we're so busy doing that we're not listening to what our body is telling us. Yeah, so for me it is being in nature really, really helps, and like doing the work every single day. So that's why I asked if we can finish actually at past, because I want to make sure that I get my choices done before my next meeting.
Sure.
And that's, for me, is like the magic is if you do your choices every single day for the rest of your life. And choices is something that you will learn along this journey, along this path. um like, everything else falls into place because you are getting out of the way and you're just letting the magic unfold. And I guess this is like a more recent realization. William's company is called Natural Success, and I knew it. Like, I remember the very first 3-day course that I did. I went to a salsa night. Salsa is like my heart. It's something I've done since I was very young, and I'm very good at. But there was this like newfound discovery after having done those 3 days, because then I was just in flow and I was like, oh, this is that natural success feeling. And that's something that I've loved riding since having done the work, is like just letting things flow. But for me, more so, it seems like this year the theme for me is really like, all I do is I make the choices. And I'm not saying that you don't take action. I'm not saying it's just like, The Secret and you read the book and then just good things happen to you. It's about taking action, but it's also about that learning to listen and letting the things come to you. And like my kind of go-to, my old modality was do, act, act. I was very busy. And now it's much more about receiving and letting it flow. And it's just the most beautiful unfolding, that the work doesn't have to be this kind of like patriarchal idea of what work is. The work can be, you do your choices, you get an intuition to make a phone call, you put the phone down, that's it, the thing happens. It's beautiful.